Welcome to Trust Your Inner Sense with Joanne Starkman podcast. I'm Joanne Starkman, and I look forward to going on this collaborative journey with you to ignite inspiration, inspire self-discovery, and instill new meaning in life. I'm excited to host a wonderful array of guests, including innovators, creatives, expert coaches, teachers, and much, much more who come together to share their stories. Each episode reveals how they've embraced their inner sense to pursue their passions and shine their unique lights in the world. We'll have thought-provoking discussions and chat about tools that will provide fresh perspectives to help you create a joyful and meaningful life. As founder and chief visionary officer of award-winning hair care brand Innersense Organic Beauty, I am also an avid meditator, platform artist, author, and mother of a special needs young adult. Over 20 years ago, I intentionally brought mindfulness to morning routines by authoring each affirmation on Innersense Organic Beauty's products, which we call Innerflections. You can check them out on the back of the bottle. It's my goal to have this podcast to be your warm and compassionate companion, whether you're on a journey for deeper meaning, seeking greater joy, or in need of love and healing. Let's continue our journey of self-discovery, self-care, and self-love. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive into this week's Trust Your Inner Sense episode now. Well, hello, friends. I'm super, super excited that you've joined me here today. I think today is going to probably be one of my most important conversations thus far. This is somebody that I've known for a long, long time, but we really haven't had the opportunity to really connect and get to know one another better and really work together. And that just recently happened, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I first don't want to keep her waiting. I want to introduce you to Keya Neal, who is the founder of Texture versus Race and Color Culture. And she is truly a visionary and somebody that I am so inspired by and love being around and just love our connection. And so I'm so excited for you to get to know her today. Hello, Keya. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. Girl, you are one busy woman. And so you carving out some time for me and for my little podcast over here, I just really appreciate that.
First of all, hello everyone. Really glad to be here. I'm super honored. And let me just say, there's nothing little about this podcast. You're doing great work, and you have been, Joanne, for such a long time. And it's just been an honor to be in relationship with you and have this partnership with you that's ever budding and growing. And it's been something that I've had on my list for a long time. And I knew that eventually God would bring it all full circle. So it's just as much of an honor for me to be here as it is for you. And I'm looking forward to everything that we're going to do in the future.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Because there's lots. I get a sense there's going to be more.
There's a
So
lot.
yeah, praise God. So I just really want to know for my own personal interest, like what started you in the hair industry? Give me your little hair story. Like as far as like what was that for you?
Joanne, I don't have the cute story
Well, it
about,
doesn't have to be cute.
no, I'm just saying like a lot of people lean into the story and they're like, oh, I knew I wanted to do hair when I was little and I had the dolls and I did all the things. Joanne, I was nowhere near hair. Like I was absolutely a
That's
tomboy. My
okay.
hair wasn't cute. I didn't think I never really picked up the comb in that way, or so I thought. And I think just I don't know. A friend of mine said you should go to school for hair one day. I was in college. I went to college for
Oh,
journalism and public relations, actually. And
well.
right? Okay, see, so it's
Well,
coming back
okay,
full
that now
circle.
I get it. That's wonderful. That is like you're doing that first almost, right?
You
That's
know what? Right now, I do feel like that's how God does. Like He brings it back full circle. It's like, well, we
isn't
didn't lose that. That wasn't time lost. That was just time spent, and you needed
right.
that to sit in your pocket for a minute, and now it's come back. But when I left college, a friend of mine said, "Oh, you do good. You do our hair. You play with it time to time, not in a serious way, but she actually just said, hey, you should." Think about going to cosmetology school, and so I did. And of course my parents weren't extremely happy, but they went along with the program. I went to a very esteemed Dudley Cosmetology University. I was horrible. I sucked. Everything sucked. I failed every practical test that they that they had, but I was smart as a whip, Joanne. I knew everything theoretically. I knew that book inside out, so they couldn't really put me
Mhm.
out. And
Mm.
so ultimately, I just worked hard to make my practical and my theory match. So
Amazing.
it was a journey, but yeah, it's an interesting story. It
Yeah,
is.
no, I love that. No, I love that. I think everybody has their own journey to it. And I love
Right.
that what you said about like circling back, and the time spent is like we don't know really where it's going to lead us. And so it's like you've married both of your educations just so perfectly and so beautifully. I'm just wondering what point beyond the chair, like, with between education and advocacy, and what was that defining moment that kind of shifted your purpose? Or did you feel that it was always there? Was it, yeah, like where did that come in?
So here's the thing, Joanne. The educator in me was planted back at DCU because
Mm,
they were very heavy in education. They not only had a basic school program, but they had an advanced program as well. And so, especially in the Black community, they were like our Black Vidal Sassoon, if you will. I just
yeah,
for comparison,
right,
and people would
right.
go for a week to learn and work. And so the idea of being the ultimate educator was always there from the beginning. That's where my
Hmm.
eyes were set from the beginning. So I think education was just woven into
Hmm.
my whole persona, even right from the
Right.
beginning. But then, and I don't know if you know this, but I owned a salon for 10 years in Charleston, South Carolina. And then
Okay.
I moved to Maryland. I married a man from Maryland. And so I
Mm,
thought, okay, I can take my show on the road. I can go. And so when you get a chance to reset, right, when you make moves like moving from one place to another, it's really an opportunity to explore new ways of doing things, new tracks and new journeys. And for me, that was doing hair in an expanded way. That was my first thought, that I wanted to learn how to do hair for everybody and not just one type of person, or one type of hair, or one type of service either.
mhm,
And so I
mhm.
started working at a salon, an all white salon, basically. And so I
Wow.
was the only diverse piece there. And I
Okay.
started working at that salon, but immediately I started to see there that there was a huge disconnect between the Black salon experience and the white salon experience, quite
Uh-huh.
honestly. And so it started me on my journey of color. I always wanted to do color. I wanted to do,
Mm.
and I was good at color, but I was good at color on textured hair, of course, that was usually accompanied with relaxers and stuff like that. So it was
Okay.
still a little bit limited in my mind, in my thinking, and I wanted to expand that. So this salon was able to give me the education that I needed, the being able to practice, so to speak. The clients were coming in were
Mhm.
very multicultural. Like, you didn't know what texture was going to sit in your chair, right? So I learned
Okay.
how to do everybody, and
Nice.
I learned color that way. And that's how
Mhm.
I developed the color culture, which was a very streamlined color curriculum that was inclusive from the beginning, even before I thought to say it was inclusive. I
Mhm.
never even tagged color culture as an inclusive curriculum. I just said, here's what happens when the texture changes. Here's the adjustments.
Mhm.
Here's how you change your formula, your science, and all of that. And what I realized in that was that everybody just didn't know how to do color. And a lot of people, a very multicultural audience, really appreciated my curriculum. And
Oh,
so all of my classes began to be multicultural from the beginning. I mean, really. And I was shocked at
mhm.
that. And I
Mhm.
think texture versus race just came through that journey of color,
Mhm.
where again, I wasn't didn't want to be the Black girl that did black color on black hair.
Mhm.
And so when I got to a point in one of my wonderful accomplishments with the American Board of Certified Hair Colorists, they wanted me to teach a black color class, and I was like, did I not just do all this work? Didn't I spend all this time telling you that there was no race when it comes to texture, like to
Right.
color and stuff? And I'm like, what? Blow me away, right?
Wow. Wow.
And texture
Wow.
versus
Because they didn't
race,
even see what you were doing then,
they didn't.
obviously. Yeah.
No, I took their test. Their test was very centered and focused on straight hair. Everything
Mhm.
had an avatar. It was a straight hair person, level 7 or up, 5 to
Mhm.
7 or better, lighter,
Mhm.
not better, lighter. and
Mm-hmm.
they just wanted, everything had this avatar and this standardized variation that we used everything on, right, that we
Mm-hmm.
bounced everything off of. And so when I got there, I was like, now I've done too much work for y'all to push me back. So
Right.
texture versus race was a cheeky response, really. It wasn't supposed to be
Mm.
all that it did. It was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be the moment where I just simply said, no,
Mm-hmm.
texture versus race. Hair is a fabric, not a race. Is it about
Mm-hmm.
the hair or the person in the chair? That
Mm-hmm.
literally was the class. It was
Mm-hmm.
about having us, face our social constructs and
Mm-hmm.
the way that we approached each other, and it made room and space for people to talk
Mm-hmm.
and understand that we were a very segregated, institution. We were a
Mm-hmm.
very segregated industry, and we allowed it. And so
Mm-hmm.
why? And we explored
Mm.
that. And so the class was, it was very, very expansive in one end, and then on the other we talked about the actual hair very little. Like, just at the end did I
Mm-hmm.
kind of sort of shoot down all of their stereotypes about why one thing should be the other, and really explained about texture. So it was that moment, I think, for me, knowing that there were two different experiences happening, and then the
Mm.
ABCH is what really pushed texture versus race.
Yeah, that's incredible. It really makes me reflect on my cosmetology experience. I went to San Diego City College, and I was really fortunate enough to have like a culturally diverse student body there, number one. And number
Mm-hmm.
two, one of my closest friends that we just hit it off instantly, she was actually a braider at home and decided to come and get her cosmetology license. So I was always the first in line because I knew in cosmetology school, if you're going to mess up some hair, do it in cosmetology school. So I was always
Okay.
the first one to
Right.
raise my hand to, learn the relaxers, learn the hair cutting, learn anything that
Mm-hmm.
I was like really honestly scared to do. But it just having this conversation makes me remember that it's not that way throughout the United States. It's
No,
not
you were
always going to
lucky.
be like that. I was very, very
You were
lucky,
very
and I
fortunate.
definitely had a learner's mind.
Mm.
And there was access to a variety of things. So I was very, very lucky in that regard. But I don't think that that's typical for
That's not
sure.
everybody's experience. And every time, when someone does say, every now and again, right? We always get one in every
Mm-hmm.
class to go, I was lucky, my teacher, and they always point to a teacher, not a program, not,
Mm-hmm.
they point out a teacher or a student
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that
right.
either took them by the hand and gave them the information, or the teacher was adamant that they needed to learn all
Right.
things. But
And I
that's
think
just
I
not,
had both. I mean,
yes.
I think I definitely, the nice
Oh,
thing was the staff was culturally diverse. I remember there was one
ah,
man that was like, teaching all the relaxers. There was somebody else that was doing color and, different, I don't know.
yeah,
It was a long, long time ago, but I do
that's okay.
now having this conversation, it definitely makes me feel even that
Appreciate.
much more appreciate. And I think that that was part of, for me with Innersense was I was just thinking about hair. I was just thinking
Yeah.
about hair and health and the health of the hair.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's very, very interesting.
I
Yeah.
know, and it seems like this. Like, I think the thing is for me, Joanna, is to just really outline that there were several things. Just to recap that, there were several things that brought me to this space that I am now in advocacy, and the
Mhm.
advocacy just really came from the stance of, if you're gonna learn it with an open mind, and understand that diversity
Right.
is a mental capacity. Diverse is
Mhm.
a lifestyle. It's not about
Mhm.
just learning how to do this one or two things. It's about understanding that your chair should be open to anybody, and it is your responsibility to be able to work on all textures, no matter what your skill or niche is. And I think
Mhm.
that's one thing people didn't really understand, or didn't have the language for early
Mhm.
on, because that was back
Mhm.
in 2018. That was pre George Floyd. And
Oh,
I don't think
wow.
people realize, some people became very familiar with me during George Floyd, but it wasn't, we were talking about that back in 2018, like, eh, maybe we should change the curriculum. The schools need to take
Mm.
a look. The testing needs to change. The teachers need to be
Absolutely.
trained. Like, these were conversation pieces that we were having long before. And I think when George Floyd was murdered, our boat was already kind of in the ocean for the
Mhm.
conversation. I think that's how texture versus race became more of a more, I don't want to say popular, but more known, right? And the
Mhm.
conversation really started to explode. And I just want, people to understand that, most of my advocacy is just simply telling the truth about my own experiences,
Mhm.
what I was seeing, what
Mhm.
I was trying to help people see through their lens as well.
Mhm.
Like, but can you look at your own space and see how this might be a little problematic? Like, it
Mhm.
was not finger pointing, and that's what people loved about it. It wasn't, people try to make it that way, right? If they
Right.
don't want to see the truth, they do everything they can not to. But
Mhm.
everybody who has come in contact with TVR leaves feeling self-reflective, not judged, not
Mhm.
beat down or um, punished even.
Mhm.
They leave
Mhm.
thinking, how do I be a better human? How do I become
Mhm.
a better stylist? How do I raise the bar for the industry and or for myself? That's what we do. We create community for people who want to explore those opportunities and go into that journey.
It's extremely inspirational, to say the least, for sure. You've created a space that is warm and welcoming and top-notch education, and the people that you bring in are just magical. They're wonderful people. So,
They are.
yeah, I would
And
definitely.
definitely what?
Yeah.
Because
No, I was going to say I
I was
would
getting ready
definitely
to say something.
recommend
I was
it to
like,
anybody. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to, I didn't want to
me
interrupt you,
too. I
but
didn't want
yeah,
to
it's
interrupt you.
no, no, it's just, it's for me, it was, I think it was the right time and the right place. And it just felt like it was, like I said, just magic for sure. So in a salon setting, how would you support or say to a salon owner or stylist to be able to kind of embody and just a few little steps that people could do to kind of move towards a more inclusive environment or just mindset or, where would somebody start?
I love that question, and I have a completely different answer for you now than I probably have had over the years. Over the years, I would have said, "Hey, we could do step one, two, and three." We're past that now. Like, at
Mm,
this point,
mhm.
everybody knows exactly what they need to be doing. Like, there's
Mm,
no
amen. I love that.
there's no reason for me to outline baby steps. We're not babies anymore. We are full
Mhm.
blown grown people at this point that are facing our own realities of where we are in this country and just even in our industry. So I don't have any baby steps for anybody except
Mhm.
you know exactly what your heart is telling you to do. If you're asking the
Mhm.
question, go with that. Right? There's
Nice.
so
Yeah.
many ways to educate ourselves, to move forward, and to make solid decisions. And I think that's one of them is just simply making a decision. You either are diverse or you aren't. You either want inclusivity or you don't. You either
Mhm.
want to expand your knowledge or you don't. And I don't think
Right.
there's any room in the middle now for people to straddle the fence and figure out whether they want. We're not there anymore.
Mhm.
We've certainly passed that point. So
That's incredible. You heard that here. I mean, and I couldn't agree with you more. So that's really amazing. Definitely. Well, can you tell me a moment or a memory that you have when you witnessed, that sort of transformation or somebody's mindset shifted or, through your work, like, an impact specifically that you made? I would love to
yeah.
hear.
So several things come to mind, right? Because
Mhm.
everywhere we go, and when I say me, I mean me and my incredible team. That's from
Mhm.
my day ones from color culture, where we've always understood that there has to be an emptying of a vessel before you can pour into a vessel.
Mm, mhm.
And we early on understood that we had to help people release things in order for them to be able to hold on to some more things, some new
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
And so that happens everywhere we go. Someone's always either like just looking at us in awe and they're like, I feel like I've been lied to my whole life. Like it becomes
Mm.
deeper than just I learned a technique. It's not that.
Mhm.
It's the realization that what's been holding you back wasn't real or wasn't true. And those moments of aha, they run deeper than, like I said,
Mm,
the surface level of learning. It's an emotional shift. And
mhm.
we don't charge people to change. We just want them to choose different. like, and
Mhm.
give themselves an opportunity to choose different by absorbing more information and hearing from other people and being in community with people that don't look like them and don't share their same experiences. And that type of evolvement is what we look for. We look for people who have heart changes, right? When they just
Mhm.
sit in and go, all right, great. I want to hear what you're saying, because what you're saying don't make no sense to me. I've never experienced that. I don't know what you're talking about. And then they open their minds, they hear you, and then their posture changes, and you can tell their heart changes, and now we can move your hands, because it's like
Mm.
an order. Sometimes it's out of
Mhm.
out of order. Sometimes people
Mhm.
learn to do the thing before they learn why they're doing the thing, and that's
Mhm.
okay sometimes. But really, when people can, open their minds and change their hearts, then their hands move effortlessly in it. That's the biggest transformation that I've seen. But we've seen that so many times, it would be almost hard for me to pull out one
Mhm.
in that
Mhm.
moment.
Well, it makes me think about what we've talked about prior about meeting people where they are. There's just something in that you do so eloquently that I think just makes such a huge impact.
And in context to when I said that, and I wanted to, I'm glad you brought that up actually,
Mhm.
because what people may not know, because I haven't really made the staunch announcement like this was my last TVR. I mean, I've said it, but I've said it in little small ways. I've said it
Mm.
on the end of posts. I've kind of buried it in the captions. But I haven't put out a PSA to
Mm.
say, Texture versus Race, the summit itself has come to an a pause. It's come to a pause, and I won't say an end, because I
Mhm.
never say never. You
Of
don't
course
ever know
not.
what might be in the future. But for the foreseeable future, we won't be doing Texture versus Race the way that we have been doing it over the past 8 years,
Mhm.
7 years, and so. I think when I said, like meeting people where they are, the reason for that shift was because I feel like the industry is right now in a space of nervous eradication. Like, I feel like we're
Mm.
all over the place, right? I feel like no one,
Mm.
we're living in a land of uncertainty, right?
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
that the only thing we know for certain is that we're not certain. we're not we're
Mhm.
not sure about anything tomorrow, anything.
Mhm.
And we've created such a grind culture, go culture, do culture. Everything is big, grand, and I just think we all need a moment to sort of recalibrate our nervous system. And if
Mhm.
nobody else agrees, fine. I need a moment to recalibrate my nervous system. I need a moment. I need a space to be able to rethink and reimagine how I show up for the industry, how I
Mhm.
show up, how do I serve the people best in this time, and just
Mhm.
making better use of my time and talent. And just, I think for us all, you will see that a lot. There are a lot of people like closing their salons, or not doing things they used to do, not
Mhm.
doing certain classes and shows. You'll see a lot of that going on, because people have to take a minute to sort of, people want to take inventory of their surroundings. Like, what's really
Mhm.
happening? Are we being effective in what we're
Mhm.
doing? Is
Mhm.
it is it making impact the
Mhm.
same? Are we reaching the people? Are we
Mhm.
seeing the change, the charge, the choices
Mhm.
evolving? And I think that sometimes you got to get off the hamster wheel for a second to sort of take a look around and say,
Mhm.
hmm, I could do this differently, and this will make more sense. This will be
Mhm.
something people can attain to. Like, what can I do to best serve people while also serving myself?
Mhm.
Because
Absolutely.
people have to know I am emotionally drained,
Mhm.
right? The
Mhm.
emotional labor that has come with TVR has
Mhm.
been massive. And I think that we've come to a point right now where I don't have I don't have the large net anymore to cast,
Mhm.
to just try to bring a bunch of people in.
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. That takes a lot of time, money, energy, emotional. I don't have that right now, and I
Mhm.
want to be able to meet the needs of the people who are looking for me.
Mhm.
And I can't do that unless I sit still. so they can find me. I remember when I lost my son at Disney. Now, I say I lost him, but he lost me. Okay? He left me chasing one of those characters, right? He lost me. Let me
Yeah.
But I remember when we found him, a parent knew to just sit him somewhere still so that we could find. They
Mm,
knew that as long as everybody's moving around, the likelihood of us catching each other and connecting was slimmer than if he just sat still and waited for us to come and get him. And I
mm.
learned that was a lesson for me on many levels. One, my child needed a leash, like one of those harnesses, right? And then two, I learned too that sometimes you got to keep still so that the right thing can find you.
I love that. That's very well said and a very powerful statement. It makes me think about how the vision that I get is like setting our own vibration and
Hmm.
really taking that time, that pause, and to be able to really connect with the true essence of who we are in order to be able to connect and magnetize the right people and
That's
places and
right.
opportunities and all of that.
And that's
So,
what happens. You sit
yeah,
still long enough and it's like, oh, here she is. She's finally still. She's ready for me.
I love that.
Whatever that is,
Hmm.
opportunity, people,
Hmm.
she's ready,
Hmm.
So
That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, I mean, you have so much on the horizon. I totally want to dig into some of the fun things that you're doing right now because you deserve it all. And I'm
Oh,
just sitting on the sidelines, just with the warmest heart and the biggest smile, and just cheering you on in so many ways. I'm going to let you break all the good news on all the
oh,
things that you have going on.
well, yes, because you will be the first one to hear it. So that's exciting. This will be the first time I share a lot of this good news. But before I move on to what good is coming, I want to really put a pin in what good has happened.
Oh, thank you.
TVR 2025 was
Hmm.
magnificent. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of times I am the worst person for myself, right? I am
Hmm.
constantly hard on myself. Everything is you could have did better. What could you have done more? Oh, blah 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 blah. And I left TVR feeling very satisfied and content.
Hmm.
Um, More than that, but I left feeling like we put it all out there and we did everything we wanted to do. Everything flowed the way I wanted. The right people were in the room. The right attendees were in the room. The right
Mm.
educators graced the stages. The right brands connected with my community and they created
Mm.
more community, right? They
Mhm.
enhanced the community. Texture versus Race 25 was all that I could have wanted it to be for it to be the last one for now.
Mm.
And that's saying something for me because I hardly ever say those words.
Mhm.
I remember last year I walked away satisfied and I was like, this could be a thing now.
Uh,
Come on. Like,
uh-huh,
this is what
uh-huh.
you want. You want to be content with the work that you've done.
Mhm.
And I am very much content. And I'm more excited about the fact that I was able to connect with Innersense.
Mhm.
And I don't want this to get away. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on your podcast, because I have said it 1,000 times up to now when you weren't, and you weren't listening and couldn't hear it and probably won't hear it from the person that I said it to. But you all were one of the biggest highlights of TVR
Mm.
for a couple of reasons. One, you all were one of the first to say yes and really start activating
Mm.
because you were excited to be there. And that,
Mhm.
everybody moves in their own time. I'm not knocking nobody, but I'm just saying, like, you were the ones that was like an immediate yes. What do we do? How do we? Is everybody ready? We there? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
you were the first, and it gave me so much hope,
Mm.
and so much excitement around your excitement of connecting with us. And
Mhm.
not only that, you all showed up in such a big way, and you personally, as the owner and founder or co-founder with your husband, you all sat and talked with people and connected, which is what we want. sales will
Mhm.
sales will come when relationships are created,
Oh,
right? And
absolutely.
you all spoke to every single attendee that walked by. You made everybody feel warm. Everybody just kept going, oh, I love them. And they just made me want to try because I like them. Like Morgan
Oh.
brought people, Morgan did her job. Okay. Morgan ushered in the joy. That spot was yours to own.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say enough about that. And then, of course, my cornerstone piece of TVR, the Hydro Discovery Clinic, you all partnered with us, which was our first time ever partnering with a brand for that. And we've
Oh,
done that
wow.
several times. And you all were the first people that I even offered it to
Mm,
in an exclusive way
right.
where it was just all about the beginning of the end was very curated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the space was open for us to do exactly what we've always wanted to do, which was transform lives and make it to where every single attendee had a finger or a hand in the transformations of the models. And I just
Mm-hmm.
think that we flawlessly executed that. Like it was
Oh,
amazing. People, there's always tears. I know you say, how is it
yeah.
good if people are crying? They were crying. People were crying, people were overjoyed, they were excited about what's next. They wanted to be the models I'm talking about.
Right, right.
They
Yeah.
wanted to be there. And so I just wanted to just personally thank you for that because
Mm.
that was a huge moment for us.
Yeah, thank you, Keya. Well, for my listeners that don't know what TVR is, I know we've kind of interchanged said TVR and texture versus
Oh,
race. Can you just briefly
yes.
say what texture versus race is, the event, and then the hydro clinic, exactly what it was, just so listeners will kind of better understand of or get
Yeah.
sense of what it is.
I was remiss not to do it from the beginning. So I'm going to start that over
Yeah.
right now. So look, so my name is Keya Neal and I'm the founder of the Color Culture and Texture versus Race movement. The Texture versus Race movement is an educational hub where we not only transform, but we are revolutionizing not just what you learn, but how you learn to do all textures. So our motto is hair is a fabric, not a race. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really pushing you to see fabric and see hair beyond the body that it's sitting on, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
giving you the scientific prowess to be able to analyze and focus on and tend to hair according to its own individual and independent needs. Being that one of us are alike, right? No two of
Mm-hmm.
us are alike. So that
Mm-hmm.
goes with our hair as well. And I feel like people come into our programs of education, coaching, conferences, summits. We go to the shows, we do in salons. We focus on all of those things, but people come into this space and they are surprised because we debunk all stereotypes. We place you in a scientific space,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we allow you to see art and science working in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a cutter, we show you how cutting artfully changes when it comes to texture, how
Mm-hmm.
color artfully can change and be expanded on texture. And so we work with all textures of hair. All of our educators work on all textures of hair. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we do is we bring people in that want to be in community with us that learn that way. And then we
Mm-hmm.
bring brands that also have the ability to teach that way, to share their
Mm-hmm.
products and how it works on all textures of hair as well. So it's a very curated space, very specific to a person that wants to expand and elevate the industry as a whole, but starting
Mm-hmm.
behind their chair and their salon. We have done 6 summits over the years.
Mm-hmm.
We've done several color retreats as well, so we're no stranger to events. Texture versus Race is a 3-day summit that we bring everybody together in a hair show like environment, but based off of the premises that I mentioned before. And the third day is always our Hydro Discovery Clinic, where we bring live models with the spectrum of texture that represent a spectrum of texture from straight, swavy, curly, coily, kinky, afro.
Mm-hmm.
And we bring people in and then we have like in a round robin way everybody gets hands into each of the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every point of the process you have buy-in to see the consultation, the detoxing, the shampooing, the styling, all the things. And so it's just it's a remarkable journey because when people get to exercise and walk out their healthy curiosity in
Mm-hmm.
real time in a hands-on way, it makes major impact. And that's what we did. We brought 8 live models. No, 9 live models No, I think we did an extra person. So it might even been like 10.
Everybody wanted their hair done that day.
By that time, everybody was like, do me.
Yeah.
I want to see, I want to see me. And so, each of the attendees get to have their hands in, and they're there
Mhm.
with coaching, instruction. They learn products, they learn how to work with the products, which is where
Mhm.
Innocence came in, to show
Mhm.
people how to work with the products to get the results that the coaches were trying to get
Mhm.
to. So it was just it's a magical time. People leave like, I had no idea. Like, I thought this was hard. This isn't hard. I just didn't understand.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just didn't know. So that's what TVR is about.
Thank you for that.
Fortunately, we've had a long run. Unfortunately, that was our last one, but I would say
Mhm.
stay tuned for what's coming next,
Oh, it's
because
probably
we
going to even be
will.
better.
You
So I,
know it.
yeah.
You already know it. It's going to be whatever it is, it's going to be fantastic, because it's going to
Mhm.
meet the needs of the people where they
Mhm.
are right now, which is so
Mhm.
important to us.
Absolutely. Well, then with all that being said, do we want to talk about what
I
all
do. I do. I'm yelling. First of all, I won. I don't know if anybody knows, but last year, the North American Hairstyling Awards, the NAHA,
Mhm.
awarded me Educator of the Year last year. And so,
Amazing. Very well
yes, so
deserved.
thank
Congratulations.
you, thank you. And this year we will be bestowing another amazing educator that crown, as
Mm.
educator of the year. And at first I thought that I would be able to give that award away. Then I was told, no, you can't give the award away. Someone else has secured that spot to give the award away. So
Mm.
I was like, but I'm still gonna go and support everybody because
Of
I love
course.
NAHA. And then I was contacted, because they wanted me to co-host. So now I will
Wow.
be the NAHA co-host this year, which is an amazing and an incredible opportunity to do exactly what I want to do, which is celebrate with people. You know,
Congratulations.
that is a huge
Yes.
opportunity to be able
Mhm.
to co-host NAHA with the amazing Leslie Perry, who is the executive director of Professional Beauty Association. So this is a great opportunity for me. And then if I can, I want to share for the first time that the International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, has selected me to honor me in for the theme of crown, because they are doing their, what is it called? They call it the Juneteenth Jubilee
Mm.
Soiree. And for their second
Mm.
anniversary, they have a theme. And this year it's around beauty, fashion, hair, makeup. And I was chosen as one of four honorees nationally to represent the crown. And I'm super excited about that, because it is so deep in my soul and my heritage. One, I'm from Charleston, and they didn't even know that. There's
That's
that.
incredible.
Yeah, but my heritage runs so deep. The history is so rich and deep in Charleston. And
Mhm.
for the African American Museum to honor me for my work that I've done is just an incredible opportunity to share what I've done with mainstream people. You can be known
Mhm.
in the beauty industry, but this is more mainstream. This is more,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I'm really excited about that, because I think people need to know what we're
Mhm.
doing in the beauty industry, because we're really making change. We are really charging for, to be honest, the beauty industry is front running when
Mhm.
it
I
comes to
love that.
making. We are the front runners and the leaders of making change in our country, whether people
Mhm.
realize it or not. We will
Mhm.
change the world. We are changing the world. My friend Elizabeth Faye always says that, hairstylists change the world, and she's right. And if we
Mhm.
continue the torch that we're carrying right now, because we touch so many people, we actually will be the vessels that
Mhm.
change the world. So I'm excited about
Mhm.
people seeing what the beauty industry is doing from the inside out, and just
Mhm.
highlighting that work. So yay.
That's congratulations. That's so
Thank
well deserved. I'm
you.
so excited for you. What a wonderful event and a wonderful way to honor. I mean, I'm just wow. So
Yeah.
so happy for you.
I was kind of on the floor about it for a while. I was like, wait, what? And I was just so floored. But, like I said, when you are authentic and you can be
Mm.
authentically yourself. You never have to guess who you're going to show up to be. You never have to
Mm.
prepare
Mhm.
for how you show up. You just show up
Mhm.
as you every
Mhm.
time. And I
Mm.
think one of the things that's been a good and bad thing is I've never been able to have multiple personalities to a
Mhm.
degree. I've always
Mhm.
had to just be one because I can't ever remember. I try not to lie because I can't remember to lie, and I'm like, ah, I forgot. And now with menopause brain, I'm really not going to remember.
Right.
I'm really not going to remember to lie. I'm not going to remember to keep up the facade. So I feel like just be you, and you'll never have to worry about it. And
It's
I
hard
think
to
that
even remember the words through menopause
okay, you
sometimes.
see how much I'm stumbling over words now. Like that's what menopause does, dirty rabbit. But that's that's how it is, and I say that because my authenticity is what has gotten me where I'm at. The good,
Mm.
bad, the ugly, the waves, the
Mhm.
up, the down, the ups, the downs. It has gotten me where I'm at, and I'm grateful for that. And I feel like what's for you will find you.
Mhm.
It will
Mhm.
find you. And as long as it knows that you are you and you are doing your best to just be who you authentically are, walking in your purpose and understanding that your purpose may change
Mhm.
sometimes, right? You
Mhm.
may be redirected to some things.
Mhm.
I feel like that has been the story of my life, the way that it
Mhm.
has zigged and zagged so
Mhm.
many ways. It's all been super impactful, but all been relevant at the same time. And I'm
Mhm.
just grateful that God allows these opportunities to absolutely find me.
Yeah, that's incredible. Very well said and wonderful advice for people as far as purpose and making sure that you're open to it all, right? And staying true to yourself for sure.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Well, Keya, is there anything else that you want to connect with my listeners on? Or I just feel like there's been such a wealth here of conversation, but I want to make sure that if there's anything else that you would like to mention or.
Yeah. I would love for your listeners to give me a follow. Follow Keya
Thank you.
Artistically. Yeah, I would love for you to
Mm-hmm.
follow me at Keya Artistically on all platforms. I'm not that good
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok, so don't be looking for nothing interesting from me on TikTok right now. Maybe one day, now that I got a little bit more time, I might
Okay.
explore a little ticking and a talking. We'll see. But follow me on all platforms, LinkedIn, and also Texture versus Race, and
Mm-hmm.
put your notifications on because we will be sharing more about what we're doing and how we're being more intentional about how we're showing up. And basically, we're just going from crayons and markers to ballpoint pens. we're,
Mm-hmm.
we're going. We're going to colored pencils and stencils. Like we're going to streamline how we're showing up. And I would love to
Mm-hmm.
connect with anybody that wants to connect with me, that wants to know more or wants to
Mm-hmm.
grow more and
Mm-hmm.
to move their needle forward independently and individually. I would love to connect with you. So make sure
Mm-hmm.
you follow, sign up for, on our website. You can visit us at, textureversusrace.com,
Mm-hmm.
colorculture.com. They're all going to go the same place.
Okay.
And just connect with us. Just stay connected.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. Well, Keya, thank you so much for your time. You're such an inspiration to me personally and professionally.
Oh,
And I just am thrilled for you. And I want to just continue to support any way that I can. And I just love our connection. So thank you so much for being here.
thank you, Joanne. This has been an amazing time just being here with you. Like, I feel like we fast forward our relationship in like 3 months. Like,
Oh, big
like
time. Yeah.
one month. I'm like, I am her friend.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
got a
Always.
lot,
You can
and
count
I
on
love
me.
that.
Yeah,
I love that. You
definitely.
and your family, y'all are
Yeah.
amazing. Your
Thanks,
team,
Kia.
they're reflective of your culture. And that
Hmm.
that to me warms my heart that you are exactly who I thought you were when I
Mm.
met you. When I met you the
Oh,
first time. Yeah, because
yeah.
that's not always the case sometimes.
Yeah.
You meet people and you go, well, but I think, you all are exactly who I thought you was. So
Mm.
I can appreciate that. So
Back
thank you
to
for
the
having me.
authenticity. That's one
That's
of our
right.
core values for sure is
Okay, we'll see.
showing up authentically. So it's so
Absolutely.
important. Yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right. Well, enjoy
Joanne.
your day, Kia. Thank you
I
so
will.
much. All
Thank
right. We'll see
you.
you real soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode, dear friends. I would be thrilled to hear which part resonated with you the most. Your reflections on today's topic and how it sparked action in your life mean a lot to me. Feel free to share your thoughts at podcasts@innersensebeauty.com or leave a review. I look forward to you coming back next week to explore another exciting topic together. If you'd like to dive deeper, be sure to check out the show notes for some valuable links. Until we meet again, take good care of yourself. Know that you are surrounded by love and always trust your inner sense. Wishing you all the best, friends.